Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? We are back. The Snowboarder Sports. I am Crypto Ryan with Brian Carter 99 from, well, he's got his own podcast, but on Twitter, he's Brian PNW 99. Brian, what up?
Yeah. It's always kind of cool talking with somebody who's a fellow Pacific Northwester.
Yeah, it's hard to find those in 49ers colors.
Yep. It's always interesting. You get to go out and talk shit to Seahawks fans all the time.
Yeah, real quick,
Yeah,
do you
we're,
want to
we're
let
practically neighbors. People might not know this, but we've talked about this. We live 20, 30 minutes away from each other, which is pretty cool too.
Yeah. Real quick before we get into it, do you want to tell them where people can find your podcast? There is a link into the description, also with his Twitter, but I'll let him explain things and tell them how frequently you post.
Inconsistently. Recently I've been posting a lot. I've probably had like 15 or 20 podcasts. Yeah, we're both from Northwest Washington. We both live I live like 20 minutes from the Canadian border and he's a half hour south away. But yeah,
Joe's in Maple Valley. He was actually up here in Mount Vernon not a couple weeks
nice.
ago, down Walker Valley, taking his Jeep all up in the spots.
There you go. Some good stuff in the mountains up here, I'll say that. The podcast is inconsistent. Recently I've been posting a whole bunch of them, like I said, like 15 to 20 within the last week. During the season, I'll usually do one every week or two, just kind of reacting. And then the off season, it just kind of depends, but I mean, at a bare minimum, I'll post a couple a month. And when things get really busy, like this week, it's like I said, I've done like I think 15 in the last like week, just like so much draft stuff before things coming up. And just either Apple Podcast or Spotify. I'm on both of those. Just type in Brian Carter 99, no spaces or anything. And it should be a picture of me kind of karate chopping the ocean there with a Niners hat and a big 49ers logo.
That is the most Bellingham looking picture ever I've seen, I think.
I took it in Seattle, but yeah.
Really? Well, it's the same coastline. You know what I'm saying? Same overcast. Like,
yep.
Bellingham is little Seattle, and Seattle and San Francisco are sister cities. So essentially, Bellingham is San Francisco. So you all didn't know that, but I'm vouching for it, just so you know.
Hey, fair enough. I'll agree with that logic. That tracks.
So let's get into it. You have put out a an 85-page draft report, right?
Yeah, over 220 players. I forget exactly how many, but over 220 player write-ups. I watched 1 to 3 games of every single player. If I didn't watch at least one full game, I didn't write any notes. But I watched a couple of games of over 200 guys, and it's an 85-page PDF. No pictures or anything. It's just size 12 Times New Roman. I put it out there for all the Niners fans. It's basically everybody from third round on, like nobody who's expected to go in the first round. I think there's a couple of guys who are like second rounders just in case they drop. But it's pretty much just third round to the end of the draft. All those late round guys that we're going to be picking from. It starts at 99. So if somebody was in the top 50, didn't even look at them.
Okay. So with that, if somebody wants to get that, how would they just reach out to you on Twitter?
Yep. Just shoot me a message on Twitter. If you can't DM me directly, I know Twitter is weird. Just, at me, just, hey, can I get the draft companion, and I'll email it over. It's like a 1 megabyte PDF. So yeah, I'm just giving it to the world.
It to me. I didn't know what the thing was, but if you want people to have it, let's let them know how to get it. Oh shoot, we got a little Spongy in the house. Shout out to little Spongy. Unfortunately, this poor kid has a disability that plagues him. He is an Eagles fan.
Oh, so I am so sorry to hear that.
Nami de Patre, isn't there something you have to say when you do? I don't know, but I just hope the best for him. Hopefully it works itself out. But shout out to little Spongy. Really appreciate you coming in, Sponge. That's oh shit. We got Darwin's Raven in the house. We got Levi.
Incurable.
This is incurable. Yes, it is. At least it's not infectious unless you spend a lot of time in Philadelphia with
Yeah.
those mouth breathers.
Yeah. Never been
Sorry.
there. I've heard some good things about it. I love Philly cheesesteaks, but
Have
never
you
been
heard
there.
good things
So
about it?
I've heard there's some good things about Philly. I mean, they've got Philly cheesesteaks, which are delicious. So
Yeah.
that's
You,
one thing.
you telling me I can't find a sub roll, some cheese whiz, some sliced up thin meat, and some onions and peppers, some salt and some steak seasoning? You telling me I can't wrestle that up?
I would dare you to tell somebody from Philadelphia that to their face.
I wouldn't. Why?
Because they'll fight you too. They will fight you.
Yes, but with anybody who doesn't wear a curved bill hat ever, I'm sorry, I'm not scared of. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, fair enough.
No. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Philly
cheesesteak.
cheesesteak is legit. It's great.
I don't even like onions and peppers. Feel me? So they wouldn't like me anyways. I'd be like, I just want the meat and the cheese. You can keep all the rest of the stuff. In fact, you can put some lettuce and tomato in there, and they'd be like, get out of here.
Please
You know what I
don't
mean?
tell me you put like cheese on your steak or something crazy.
No, not at all.
Okay, good.
I used to work at the Golden Corral. We all you can
high
you know the one
class.
in Marysville, bro. But all you can eat steak and shrimp, bro. And I know what it's like. You know, I'm a steak snob when it comes to certain things. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay, fair enough.
if you're talking about well done, I'm like people who like a well done steak know what well done is, but they don't understand how good medium rare is because they will never let themselves try
always
it.
medium rare.
Always.
Yeah.
Yes. He's still on the playground where he spends most of his days. Yes.
Yeah.
Little Spongy is not even old enough to drive a car yet. So shout out. Oh, that drinks to you, little Spongy.
Save it, man.
What we drinking on today? Was that a Sauvignon Blanc or what we got going on?
I got a Cab Sav actually. It's
Cab Sav.
This is the wine of today. I'm a bit of a wino. I probably drink a glass every night.
Oh,
I don't really like beer, so I drink a glass of wine every night.
I found wine. I like drinking wine when I paint because it gives me this euphoric feeling, and I know when to stop. It I'm so euphoric. I look at it and I go, "That's perfect," and then I leave it as that, and I go on to the next thing. You know what I mean? It helps me just stop. Like if I'm stoned, I might just oh, I can make this better, and then I do too much. You know what I'm saying? I do abstracts, so like I'm not trying to mess things up too much, do too much.
Fair enough. I just I like sipping it, so
Yeah. Well, let's get into the draft.
You know what, on a hot summer day, I do like a good beer on a hot summer day, but yeah. Anyways, let's talk draft stuff. I'm pumped.
So let's get into it. Personally, I think 49ers are going to go defensive end, tight end, safety with the 99, 101, and 102. Kind of flatter me here and explain to me a couple options in that range for each of those position groups. And then we'll kind of go at other position groups in that same place around that area afterwards.
Yeah. So defensive end, if I'm just going to try and go in order that you mentioned them. If we're starting defensive end, I would say the guy that I would want more than anybody at defensive end, if he's still there, would be Isaiah McGuire, the defensive end out of Missouri. I don't think he's going to drop that far. I think he was looked at as kind of like a 4th round guy, and now he's been kind of moving up into like potential 3rd round as more people get a feel for him. But he's a perfect 49ers, 4-3 defensive end. He's 6'4", 265 ish pounds, 35 long inch arms. So he's got the size, he's got the length. He's a really good playing against the run, so he can set an edge, and he has enough bend and burst so that he can work around offensive tackles, so he can actually pressure the quarterback from outside. I know there's a lot of other guys that people like that I just didn't see any of the I didn't see any plays with a lot of these guys winning around the tackles. A lot of them were winning with like inside moves. This guy can win around the tackle. He's got a dip, and rip, he's got cross chop moves. I've seen him make swim moves to the inside, but he would be probably like my number one guy. Another guy that would be great there would be Derek Hall out of Auburn. Don't know if he's there. He is a little smaller at 6'3", 255. And I don't think that he has quite the technical skill set, but in terms of an athlete, much more explosive, a lot faster. He ran in the 4.5s, like super fast off the edge kind of burst guy. Another guy that would probably be good at like 100. Those would be my favorites. Keon White would be fun. He's more of a bigger power end that you can kick inside. Byron Young out of Tennessee. I know a lot of people really like him. I don't. Freaky athlete. But I just didn't. He's 25 years old and he still doesn't know how to rush the passer. Like, he's a crazy athlete. You could just say, hey, go get him. But if you're 25 years old and you haven't really developed the technical skill set, that gives me big pause.
Yeah, but
those would
that
probably be the
now
main
real
guys I would
real
point
quick,
out.
isn't
Yeah.
that the type that Kyle loves to go for? Like, that if they fall a little bit, Kyle's like, oh, that's a great pick right here. You know what I mean? They're a great athlete. There's got so much potential. We got Chris Kocurek. We could, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You see
I
that?
mean, and that is the X factor that the Niners have, is Chris Kocurek. I mean, there's a lot of defensive ends in this class that I like. There's not a whole lot that I would say are the total package. That's why I'm saying, like, if Isaiah McGuire is there, like, he's the guy that I'm pounding the table for. There's other guys in this class that I think can be productive, because the way that we work, we have 9 or 10 defensive linemen that we keep on the team. We have 8 active on game day. So it's not just like the 4 guys, it's the 4 guys and then the next 4 guys. So it's not just, hey, who's going out there like Bosa and Drake Jackson, but it's, hey,
And we need
Bosa
a
and
guy
Drake
who can
Jackson and Cleveland Farrell and 1 or 2 other guys.
we need a guy who can hold up in the run game. And it seemed
Yeah.
like oh geez, I'm just blanking his name. Jackson. It seemed like he was having issues in the run game. And he was doing great during the pass game,
Yeah.
but you can't just be a pass down end in our scheme. You have to be able to play the run, because you don't always get substituted out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can be kept in and they know you're in and you're bad at running, and they'll run at you all game long until someone calls a timeout or they have to make personnel changes.
Yeah, no, I agree. I hope that Drake Jackson has just been in the weight room basically this whole off season, because he's got talent, he's got bend, he's got size, he's got length. You could kind of tell when they drafted him that he had, maybe a couple extra LBs around the middle. You compare that to Bosa, who has like an 8-pack and they weigh the same. I think if Drake Jackson just like hits the weights, he'll be stronger holding up on the edge. He's only 21 years old. Maybe he doesn't know how to like eat and work out properly, and that second year.
He also doesn't have his NFL body. It usually takes a player about 2 years to really get up to par with everybody else in their position.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Especially when you're that young. I mean, he's 21, So yeah, I'm hopeful for Drake, but I definitely think we should take an edge or 2. So yeah, those would probably be my guys at around that like 99 to 102 range. You said also safety and tight end.
Yes.
Which one do you want to go over first?
Let's go safety.
Okay. My favorite safeties at late in the third. So I don't know if any of these guys fall to us, but any one of them, Jordan Battle out of Alabama, Jamie Robinson out of Florida State, Chris Smith out of Georgia. If any of those guys are there, then I would run that in. I think they're all really good players. Safeties typically drop a little bit in the draft. But I mean, you're looking at, an Alabama safety, a Georgia safety. They could both play, free safety or slot. They're kind of hybrids. Jamie Robinson is a little bit more of a free safety. But yeah, I mean, I like all three of those guys. I'd run it in if they're there. I do have some guys that I like later on, but if those
Okay.
guys are there, I would jump on that. No
Let's
questions
move to
asked. Any of them.
tight end because I think we can, if you think that we might address that later, like safeties later, then I think we'll also probably address right tackle later. It
Yeah,
seems
yeah.
like
I
there's
mean,
two sets of tackle groups taken in the first couple of rounds, and it seems like the first one ends somewhere in the second or third, early in the late second or third, and then like somewhere around the fourth. It seems like the next group of tackles pick up and start going off the board. So let's
yeah.
go
It
talk
was
about tight ends right now, and then maybe we'll switch down the board a little bit and
kind of go from
go
there.
revisit some safeties or something
Yeah.
and some tackles.
And I like the one thing you mentioned there about there being like groupings. It was interesting going through and kind of like giving grades for these guys. And this is all just like my personal opinion, obviously.
Right.
Um, but it was interesting because I definitely saw groups like offensive tackles. It feels like there's like three or four of them that are right there in like the like 90 to like 110 kind of range, as far as like, hey, there's a couple guys right here, and then there's not really anybody until like, late fourth. So you skip like 30 or 50 spots, and then there's a couple other that are kind of right there too, just in terms of like there's a group around like the mid late third, then there's a group in like the mid late fourth into the fifth in terms of like tackle. And it was kind of similar like that with tight end. Like I feel like I have like 5 tight ends with like a fourth to fifth round grade.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of them where I'm like, yeah, fourth round, I
Yeah.
love it. Fifth round, I love it. Yeah, if we're gonna go tight end in the third round, um, Sam Laporta is not gonna drop that far out of
I don't
Iowa.
think so whatsoever. That's
If he
it's
does,
if he does, the rest of the league is just fucking ignorant. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? There's
yeah,
no way you get beasted by a George Kittle over and over and over again and not try to take any shot you can at getting yourself a George Kittle the moment they come out. I'm
yeah,
not
no,
saying he's going in the
100%.
first round, but you know what I'm saying? Like everybody's going to be waiting when's the best time to pull the trigger on Laporta? You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
somebody's going to be like, I'm good with him right now. And everybody's going to go like,
yeah.
oh,
I think it's probably going to be in the second round. Because I mean,
yeah.
he's so good. I mean, he ran a sub 4.6. He had like a 6.9 3
I
cone.
don't care about
So like
40s.
speed, well, it's not everything, but you got to
It's
have
not
some
anything.
level of speed.
It doesn't ever compute. Tell me all those people in the last year's draft where they had all this smoke or last year's
Who are the
combine.
best tight ends in the NFL?
Hold on. So last year in the combine, we had a whole bunch of blistering speeds, right? Can you tell me how many of those people set the highest speed in game? None of them. You had Talanoa Hufanga with one of the fastest recorded times, and he had one of the slowest 40 times in his position group. The 40 yard doesn't mean shit. You're
Fair
talking
enough.
about you're coming out there in underwear. You're not even lining up in the stance that you're supposed to be in. You don't have your pads on. What are you really doing? There's no
Yeah, I hear
breakdown.
you.
There's no nothing. Look,
Fair enough. What
I
I
think
will
they need to
say
do
is
something
that
way better with the combine.
the best tight ends in the NFL though have a certain level of speed.
Well, yeah, but if you can't look at Talanoa Fungus 40 time at the combine, and then go and look at what he did on the field in next gen stats, you
Oh
can
no, I
see that
agree.
how it doesn't look.
I agree with
Obviously,
that. What I'm saying is that if there's a guy that looks slow in the game and a guy that looks fast in a game, I'm going to go
Mhm.
with the guy who looks fast. And Sam Laporta looks fast and he ran fast. That's all I'm
I,
saying. Sam Laporta is
I
a hell
got
of
you
an
there,
athlete.
but that's really not anything. Gronk is slow as hell. He can get open. Gronk
Yeah,
is clunking down the field, and somehow he can get a 2-yard gap, bro,
yeah, no, that's
bro,
true. He was also
bro,
bigger than everybody.
bro. Look at Dwelly. Dwelly is not fast. He can get open. He can get open,
I guess, but he doesn't move the
and he can
needle at
catch it.
all.
He
He has
doesn't move
like
the needle
six,
because they
he has like
never
4 to
throw it
6
to him.
catches a year.
Because they never throw it to him. They never put him in there.
He
That's why when they
got
resign him,
beat out by Tyler Croft
right? But why?
because he's not a needle mover. That's why we want a tight end.
He got beat out by Croft because Croft is a flashier player.
I think Croft is just a better blocker.
Okay, so tell me how that's gonna win you a game in the red zone. Really, like, tell me how many drop passes Dwelly had.
I
You
don't
could
know how
probably
many
count.
times
You could
did they
probably
throw the
count
ball
the
to him?
amount of times he dropped the ball in his career with the 49ers on one hand.
Fair enough. You can probably count a number of his catches on 2 hands.
Because he
Anyways,
doesn't
though,
get them.
yeah.
It doesn't get the chance.
Anyways, all I'm saying, my whole point there was that, oh,
Thank
way
you,
to go,
Steve-O.
dude! 300. That's awesome. My whole point was basically just that Sam Laporta is a hell of an athlete. He's fast. He gets yards after catch. He breaks tackles. He's a badass. He's probably not going to be there for us. Um, in the 3rd round, I think probably Tucker Kraft I might go with. Um, I feel like he got so hyped that he was a little bit kind of overrated. Are you familiar Tucker Kraft out of South Dakota State?
No, I have not seen him around in my mock drafts in that area, so I haven't
He's
really done
usually
anything.
gone. He's
Yeah,
usually
that
gone
could
by
probably be
then.
why.
And I think it's because people like his physical traits because he's like 6'5, 255, and he ran a 4.6. But I was not as impressed with his game film because when you're that much of like a physical man amongst kids, especially in the FCS, I was expecting him to dominate a bit more at that level. So he might be somebody who drops. And if he's there in the late 3rd or 4th, I would really like him. But those would probably be the only 2 guys that I would snag at 101. Just because there's like 5 guys that I would happily take in the 5th round that I think will be there.
Okay.
Virginia Tech safety. Which one's the Virginia Tech safety?
I don't know. That would be Joe's question. Joe, that's the one that lives in Maple Valley. He
Okay.
works in Seattle on hydraulic equipment.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who was out of Virginia Tech. I don't know. I'm trying to scan through here. I may or may not have looked at him, but it doesn't sound familiar. If you want to shoot us a name, definitely,
Joe,
definitely let us
he
know.
might be asking in this earlier rounds because he's a Seahawks fan, so he's got all his picks.
Ah.
You know what I'm saying? Like he's hoping they get he wants Jalen Carter, and then who else do you want? Who do you want your second pick in the first round to be? And then he wants to get Hendon Hooker in the second round. That's his end all be all. He wants 2 defensive guys there in the first round, and then get Hendon Hooker in the second.
It's not a bad strategy.
He says he's a later round guy. Oh, right here. Shamar O'Connor.
I'm not familiar. I did not watch any game film on him, so I don't know. It sounds a little bit familiar. It sounds
That's
a
the
little
other guy.
familiar.
He wants Jack Campbell. The
Yeah,
is that the
I didn't watch Jack Campbell, but I think he's
is
probably going
that
to
the
go in the second
linebacker?
round, is what I've heard. Yeah, yeah, he's like
Okay.
a, I guess like one of the
They-
best linebackers.
oh, looks like who's it? Lambert from the Steelers. He's
Okay,
like the way he plays. He looks so. Like, they love him. They think he plays with his hair on fire. And if that's the case, I hope they don't get him.
I've heard really good things about Jack Campbell. Yeah, but again, like he's a guy that's probably going to be long gone before we pick.
Yes.
I think my understanding, and this is just based off of like other podcasts and stuff, is that he's probably going in the second round. He's probably going to be one of the first 3 linebackers taken.
Oh, it's Shamari Connor.
Shamari Connor.
Shamari.
That's right. Yeah. I remember hearing about him. I did not watch anything. So sorry.
No, you're all good. Let's move to pick 157, 175. What are we going for here? We might switch things up. Oh, real quick. Travius, what's his name? Travius Hodges
Tomlinson.
Tomlinson. That guy.
He's like that tiny little corner out of TCU.
Yes. Where do you think he's going? Because I like that guy.
I don't know.
Do you see him being a safety? Maybe converting to safety? He smacks people. He's really aggressive. He reminds me of one of them animals that, has his territory. And Lord help you if you come in his spot, because he is gonna make you feel it. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh man.
Yeah.
He's trying to
I don't
race
know.
people out there.
I regrettably did not watch his film. There's only so many guys I was able to watch. I've heard
200
some
enough
people
is enough.
saying that yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's a tiny outside corner, so you're probably going to have to put him at slot. Typically slot cornerbacks do drop a bit, so he might be there in like the 3rd or 4th round. But I've heard people say that, hey, if he was like 2 inches taller, he might be a 1st round pick. So I really don't know.
Who cares? I don't understand the height thing, or like long arms when it comes to certain positions. Like earlier, you were like, "Oh, he's an edge guy. He's got long arms." Doesn't matter. The reason
to some
being,
extent, it depends on the position, and some positions more than others. Like I would say, defensive end and offensive tackle, I think it matters, and
it doesn't.
at corner,
It really
I think
doesn't.
it does.
So
Because if you can't jam a guy and you can't win at the catch point,
yeah.
it
So
just
as an
makes it
offensive tackle and
limited.
at a defensive end, if you're coming at me with your hands and I knock it out of the way, no matter how long your hand is, I've knocked it away. And now I'm inside on
What
you.
if they can beat your hands first because you have short little T-Rex arms?
They're not okay. I still done it. Now you have to move your hand back to get re-engaged with my hand. By that time, I'm already inside.
What if their hands are faster than yours and they get up in your chest plate and now you can't disengage because you're flailing and being held
I used
up like a little child?
I used to be a left tackle and a defensive end. I wrestled in high school for Marysville Pilchuck High School.
Okay.
I've been there.
So you're telling me that arm length doesn't matter at all for offensive tackle and defensive
it could
end?
be negated. It can totally be negated at any point in time. The same argument you talk about of you having quicker hands than me is the same argument I can say about I have quicker hands for you than you, and that negates your arm length.
Do you know how many successful starting offensive tackles there are in the NFL with 32-inch long arms?
Oh, hey,
So
why does
64
why does George Kittle like going up against Joey Bosa instead of Nick Bosa?
No. It's a very. I asked you first. How many successful starting offensive tackles?
I don't have the numbers on me.
It's like 1 or 2.
Okay, there you go.
It's like 1 or 2 out of like 60 or 70. There's
Okay.
certain thresholds to some positions. I'm not saying it's the be all end all. You don't need to have, 1,000,000-foot long arms, but there are certain thresholds for certain positions.
length
Like
of arms can be
it's
negated as just as easy as anything
true.
else. So
And
that's
like
why
center and
just to
guard, it
say
matters a lot
someone has
less.
long arm. What's up?
I was saying center and guard, it matters less.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
but when it comes down to it, if I can get there before you can, it doesn't matter how long your arms are. That's the point is. It's just being in position.
true. But again, you're talking about there's how many ways do you have to win? I think we can agree that the more ways you have to win, the more likely you are to win. So if you have more physical advantages over the
What
other
does that
guy,
have
then
to
you have
do with the arm length though?
well, if you
Because
have
your different
length
ways to
and
win
arm
would probably be
speed,
technique, not
yeah.
length of arm. You
So
know,
if you
you
have
don't have like
if
two
you
different
have
lengths of arm.
so say that you have like your feet, you have strength, you have your hand technique, you have your arm length, you have like all these different things that make up how you perform as a player. The more advantages that you have, the more ways you have to win. I'm not saying that like one specific thing is the be all and end all, but the more advantages you have over the guy across from you, the more likely you are to be successful. Like that's not saying that somebody with short arms can't be a successful offensive tackle. Like the
How
right
many different
tackle
moves does
at
Nick
like
Bosa
the
use?
right tackle the Colts, he has like
How
32-inch
many
long arms and he's really
how
good.
many moves does Nick Bosa use?
I don't know exactly. I think it's like 4 if I remember
He pretty much
correctly.
uses the size scissors, and then
But
he'll
he's
do
got
an
he's got
outside
counters.
push to
Yeah.
cut to the inside. Yeah, with the counter. You know what I mean? He doesn't even use a spin move.
Oh, the spin move is trash. It never works in the NFL. Maybe once in
Not
a while.
necessarily.
You
You
don't you don't see
you
very many guys successfully using it.
you you have to do it to where you can get leverage on somebody, or you can
Yeah.
put your body weight on them and have some back pressure, because if you can't, yeah, you're just dead in the water. But what I'm
Yeah.
saying is you got people who can be successful in the league with it. You've seen people be
Yeah.
nasty and from time to time. It's not like it's a bread and butter move. It's more of a you haven't seen this in a minute. You know what I'm saying? Or they
Yeah.
try to work it in with like an inside jab and then spin move outside to come around. You know what I mean? So the way I see it is like the NFL is so worried about these molds, about the size of people and everything that check these box. When it comes down to it, it's what they do on the field and how they
Yep.
deal with what they have.
Yeah.
And that's why it annoys me, because I guess I've seen people. I played football. I was a tall guy. I've been beat by short dudes. I know why they beat me. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I
Yeah,
know exactly.
100%.
So to me, like, why do you think Purdy fell so far? He didn't check any other boxes.
Yep.
But the moment you see him play on the field, oh, he checking some motherfucking boxes then, huh?
Yeah.
That's why it's like that's why I don't like the combine. I don't think it measures people correctly. I think it's
No,
essentially
the
a place for people to get together and talk.
yeah,
I think
the
that's the
way I
most
kinda look at
beneficial
all
part of it.
these things is they're all just little data points, and you can't use one specific thing to make a big decision. Like, if you go to the combine, like, say that you're watching a guy's film and you watch, 3 games that this guy plays. You watch, like, every snap that he plays for, like, 3 games, and you come up with a general idea of, like, "Hey, he's good at this, he's not good at that. This is my concern. This is what I really like. This is kinda where I see him based off of what I see on game film." If you go to the combine and then all of a sudden you have like a totally different view of things, then you're doing it wrong. The combine can maybe adjust things a little bit, like, hey, I really like, thanks, Garth. I really like this guy and I really like this guy. And then they go to the combine and, hey, this guy has like 1 or 2 things that I like a little bit more. Maybe that bumps him up a little bit, but you shouldn't be using the combine to make big changes on where you view somebody. Like you said, like how somebody plays in the film is what matters most. There's other little things that can move a guy up or down a little bit, but the film is what matters. That's what I tried to do. Is like I said, I watched a couple games and I put my thoughts together based off of the games. Um yeah, no, totally. We were frauds. That's why we made it to the NFC Championship game. Thanks, Garth.
He's probably got a picture of somebody else's car.
Hey, you like my friend's car? I'm
Right?
standing next to it.
I don't
Uh,
want no scrubs. Scrub is the guy that can't
no,
get no
the
love
49ers
from
lost
me.
the NFC Championship game because they were on their fourth quarterback by the second quarter. First quarter, actually. Yeah, so Jack Campbell is the ultimate film guy.
He's saying to watch his film. It's like the ultimate film to watch. Like
Okay.
it's like they were saying it's like a harkening back to the olden days.
Yeah.
Back when, you saw the blood on the jerseys and on the tape, in the face. Now
Yeah.
they have to clean the blood off. You can't see any blood. You know what I mean?
I think he's the biggest linebacker too. Like if I remember correctly, I think he's bigger than a lot of these other guys because so many linebackers nowadays they're getting to be like 6'1", 6'2", 225, 230. I think Campbell was like 250. Like he's bigger than other linebackers in this class. So I think that's
Have
probably
you
another reason why people like it. Kind of that
have you
throwback.
have you ever watched Dick Buttkiss's tape from
I
back
have
in the day?
not.
Oh
No, I
my
have
god.
not.
So, like, I remember I was sat down to watch a whole bunch of tape, and I'm watching his tape, and the first thing that stood out is he's a linebacker, and he's running standing up through the offensive line. And I'm going, this guy's a fucking idiot. You don't stand up like that. You'll get every single play he did it. People are flying off to the side every time he goes through the line. The quarterback's like trying to get the ball out of his hand so he won't hit him. You know what I'm saying? This guy, oh man, watch oh my gosh, watch his tape. It's so much fun to watch because like knowing football and technique, there's no way this man should have been able to have a career as long as he did or have the highlight reel he did with his tactics, but he was just way too much of a man for anybody else.
Dude, some
Oh
people
my
are just built different.
oh
Some
my
people are just
god,
straight up
bro.
built different.
You remember Mike Allstott?
That was before my time. I
Yeah.
grew up in a non-football household, so I didn't basically watch any football until about 2011.
Mike
So
Allstott had his helmet ripped off going through the line, essentially the hole.
nice.
And John Madden, bless his heart, soul, rest in peace, John Madden. He kept on rewinding the tape, and he got it so zoomed in that you could see the moment his helmet got ripped off, and the fact that Mike Allstott didn't even blink the moment it happened. This guy was the most born to get hard fullback you've ever seen. He had the hips of a right guard. You know what I'm saying? Like he had the hips of a guard, he had the thighs of a guard, and he was just coming upfield. He was fast. And then they had Warwick Dunn as the halfback behind him, who was just a little fast, speedy guy. So you're getting
Say he was
pummeled up the
pretty
front.
tall.
You're getting pummeled up the front by Mike Allstott. He's going for 6 yards a clip. And then all of a sudden they fake it to him and they give it to Warwick Dunn out around the corner. And you're going, oh, can we win? John Lynch played on that team with
Yep.
Warren Sapp and Keyshawn Johnson. Keyshawn, not a favorite, but John Lynch, shout out to John Lynch. His sister married one of his best friends from college. They were playing against each other. I think his buddy was on the Chargers. John Lynch came up and just thunderclapped that homie of his, knocked him out cold on the field, and just popped up and went back to the huddle like it was nothing. You know what I mean? It's just business as usual. I love you, man. I love you, but it's your turn to take a nap, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, savage. I had to outlaw a defense because of that team.
That's funny. Fifth rounders.
Yes.
Can I
Let's
give
get
you like just some
gems.
random favorite guys that I like in the fifth
We're in the
round?
weeds at this point. We have no idea what the needs are at this point and what they're thinking. So yeah, just give me a good synopsis in the
I'm
area.
just gonna give you like a couple kind of random sleepers. First one that I have not seen anybody talk about. Illinois, the right tackle, Alex Palkzowski. Have you ever heard of him? Probably not.
Oh God, that's a hell of a name.
Yeah, it's like Palczewski.
Is that Polish, or you think it's more Slavic?
I don't know, but dude, this guy was so fun to watch. So he's from Illinois, and he has a good build. He's like 6'6", 310. But I feel like every time I was watching this guy at right tackle, he was pancaking guys in the run game. Just like every time, like run play, boom, pancake. And just like, I think when I turned it on, it was like the first couple, it was almost every single play. He was just pancaking guys. Oh, are you talking about Alex
I
Alzowski?
don't.
Yeah, he's not a super athlete. I don't know if that's Darwin saying that or not.
I think this was 5 minutes ago, so I don't know if he's
Okay,
talking about him.
fair enough. But yeah,
Going through 'em.
he was a guy where it was like he wasn't perfect, but you know that term like play through the echo of the whistle? Like this guy was run blocking through the echo of the whistle. And that's somebody that the Niners are going to love is just a guy who is like an angry right tackle who wants to smash guys into the ground. And other than that, I mean, the rest of his game was just kind of solid all around. But I just loved the energy that he brought in the run game. And he's got some versatility. He had over 40 games at right tackle. I think he played like 7 at right guard and 7 at left guard. So a couple different positions there. Trying to think about other guys that I really like, but he's kind of like my favorite sleeper.
Real quick,
Bullish.
when I played tackle, there was a play where the ball got fumbled, and I run across the field and try and chase down the guy. I wasn't going to get him, and all my other teammates started letting up, so they knew they weren't going to get him. I knew I wasn't going to get him either, but I finished out the play, and I look over and there's somebody trying to take me out, and I remember going, I can't get this guy, but I can get this guy, and he comes in to hit me, and I was all ready for him, and I created contact before he could, and with more momentum, and he did sideways cartwheels. I go into the end zone. I'm like, because they scored right. The one ref who I ended up working with later, shout out to Johnny Ray. He's talking to the other linesman. I can't remember who it was. He goes, "Hey, did you see that hit? Number 72 hit him." And the other guy's like, "Yeah, that was great shit." And I was like, "Oh, like they're talking about me." Like the team just fumbled, scored this and that, and they're talking about me making a guy do cartwheels. It was
That's
probably
awesome.
the biggest highlight of my well, not the biggest, but it was one of the biggest highlights. Just to I should have been the star to the refs in that situation. That's all I felt, and that's why it was so cool.
That's cool. I got a sleeper at a tight end. Have you heard of Blake Whiteheart out of Wake Forest?
No.
6'4", 250, pretty good just athletically. He ran a 4.7 and he had a 6.77 3-cone. He looked like he had pretty good speed on tape, nice agility, just his ability to move. Wake Forest has like that. I don't know if you're familiar with their offense, but it's basically like RPO go routes, and that's it. It's like either like hand it off or it's just like bombs away. So they never target the tight end, but I thought that he had really good body control and ball skills. And he played inline tight end like 90% of the time. And we like blocking tight ends. He was a good blocker and he played inline 90% of the time. Not like some of these tight ends that play slot receiver and they're just really big. So he's like a late round, like 5th, 6th round tight end that I really like. I think he'd be a great fit.
Sorry,
What do you think we're looking for in a tight end?
Okay, so first of all, we need somebody who has some semblance of a blocker.
Yes.
I'm not saying they have to have everything. They have to have some semblance of a blocker where we can finish the rest of it out. I don't care if he's got to spend all training camp with the offensive line. We'll figure it out. In fact, the 49ers worked out a right or a tackle who was 6'11", 6'11", 280, I want to say.
Wasn't that like the basketball college player who might be like, who was
I
like
don't
trying
know,
out or something?
but I was like, make that guy a tight end. I don't know why
Yeah,
you're,
no, for
you
sure.
know, if he could be a right tackle, if he could be a tackle at that height, just make him a tight end. Teach him how to throw. He could take Charlie Warner's spot. Charlie Warner's the blocker. If you could play tackle, you know what I'm saying? You could play tight end. Um, yeah, no, I think we need that first and foremost, and we need somebody who you don't have to run a route amazingly yet,
No, no.
but
Shanahan will
you
scheme
can
you open.
you can catch the ball when it comes in your area.
Yep.
That's essentially all I need.
And then hopefully keep running for more.
Because the way I see it is, if you're going to do a 22 personnel with George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk and Debo Samuel and Juszczyk and CMC, it doesn't matter if you can really get open, all by yourself. Everybody else is going to be doubled, and they're looking at everybody else except for you. So,
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, like you said, they don't need to run perfect routes. Shanahan will scheme you open. They're going to be watching Debo, watching Kittle, watching Ayuk, watching
that's
McCaffrey.
who's going to help get you open.
And you're just kind of like standing there in the middle of a zone with nobody within 5 yards of you. And it's like, cool, here's the ball, run that way. So, yeah. There's a late round safety that I really like. The Niners brought him in for one of their top 30 visits. Jordan Howden out of Minnesota. Good speed, pretty good all around athlete. His game tape reminded me a lot of Jimmy Ward.
Okay.
Yeah, just a guy who he wasn't necessarily always like making big plays on the ball, but anytime there was a catch and the ball carrier is moving, he was able to get in position, get in front of the guy and make a tackle, like stop him. And
he's got great
safety that doesn't get beat. He's like, he would be the perfect kind of developmental safety,
He's got a good line of pursuit, you're saying?
Yeah, and his feet and the way he was able to use his feet, he was able to always stay on top of guys and adjust his pursuit angles. Like he never had guys like come at him and go around him. Guys would come at him, they would adjust, he would mirror and then engage them and tackle them.
Yeah, it's all about.
I really liked him.
It's all about when you're in that secondary. It's all about containing them to a certain area until you can move them into a smaller area and move them into a smaller area.
Yep.
And it's really hard. Some people don't have really good angles and don't understand it. They can't do the real-time corrections. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. That's one thing that I'm pretty new to like scouting, quote unquote. I kind of like started watching draft prospects like 3 years ago. And then last year I got more into it. I watched some players. I took like 10 pages of notes. And then this year, like I mentioned, I have like 85 pages. But for me, it wasn't always necessarily about like the stats, because stats can easily be misleading. Like if you're a linebacker that has 150 tackles, that could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing. It could be like, hey, in coverage, you give up every single catch and you have to chase a guy 10 yards before you tackle him down. Or it could be that, you only have 70 tackles because you're getting tackles for a loss. You're stopping drives. The level of,
did you
level
get
of competition matters. So stats aren't everything, but I was really trying to look at how the players moved, like what do their feet look like? Are they able to like turn quickly? Are they able to adjust? Are they instinctual? So it was a lot more of like, watching how they moved on field and not necessarily looking at their stats, because stats can be misleading. College plays so weird, like,
oh yeah,
like you could have a guy that has like 1,200 receiving yards in college. He doesn't even make an NFL team because college has a gimmicky offense, and he was just he was
He's in a
taller than other
division that
guys,
doesn't
but
have any good
yeah,
secondary. You know what I mean? There could be so many things
yeah,
that goes down. Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
100. So
even
I was trying so much to watch like the body and how they played
even in the
versus like their
NFL, you
stats.
can't just go off of stats.
Yeah,
Like look at Purdy. Everybody's like, "Oh, Purdy's so great." But it's like in every single game, there was a throw that was like, "Oh, that almost didn't go so well." You know what I mean? There's at least
yeah,
1 to 2 each game. And it's like, that does that show up on the stat book? Yes, but not in a column that points to the fact the importance of it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
There's so many things that goes on that, stats are a good way to find your way onto something, and then
yeah,
tape is the way to really evaluate whether you've actually got something or not.
yeah, yeah. You look at stats and analytics, and I think it can point you to guys, but you still have to really watch the
Yeah,
game and watch them to see, hey, is this real or is this just kind of like BS because the stats have been like, they've been tweaked a certain way. Like I don't know what your opinions on are with like PFF. I think they have some good, some bad, but they take a lot of information and you can sometimes find hidden gems based off of the data that they have.
right.
Like
But you have to
one of
you have
their
to weigh it against your own sense at times.
yes. But like an easy example that I'm just thinking is like for running back yards, it doesn't really matter as much because the blocking game is so important, you know?
Right.
Like if you have a dominant offensive line in college, they could be getting you 5 yards a push. If you're averaging 6 yards a carry, it looks great on the stat sheet, but you're only generating 1 additional yard. Or the reverse, your offensive line sucks. You're getting tackled 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage. You're getting 3 yards per play. You're generating 5 additional yards. So I do like that PFF has a stat where
And
it's
4 of them are
yards
after
after
contact.
contact.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, after the first hit, after you get hit, how much are you generating as a running
Mhm.
back? So those are like those little stats where you find that and you're like, hey, this guy's really good at this. Let me go watch the tape and see if this guy is good or if this is just like a weird anomaly.
Right.
Because you never know, but you got to watch the tape. Speaking of late round running backs, I am of the belief that you should draft a running back every year, but not until at least the 5th round, preferably the 6th,
I
just
don't
because you
know.
need running backs and they get hurt, but I don't think you should spend high picks on them.
Yeah,
My
but we always
favorite
have
late
guys
round,
that we always have guys that come in at the end of the year as undrafted
yeah,
free agents, and you know what I mean? Like, I'd almost
we
like,
spend third
hold on,
rounders and nothing works out.
we'll get to your running back real quick. I just wanna explain kinda my thought process this year.
Yeah,
I would go for 3 tackles. I know that sounds crazy. I would go
no,
for 3 tackles. We're gonna need 1, maybe 2 within the next 2 years. Might as well go 3 deep here. We'll probably find one that really works. We'll probably find one that doesn't work, and we'll have one in the middle that, hey, he might not, but he can be on the team till next year till we can draft 2 more and figure out which one we like out all 3 of the, and you know what I'm saying? And I would
100%.
I would do I would do 2 safeties this year. That would be another position I would double up on because I think that's really important. Because if, let's say we get somebody in the 3rd or the 4th or 3rd or the 5th round that we like, that doesn't mean that they're going to turn out. Just because you
Yep.
like them doesn't mean they're gonna turn out. So I think it just shore up your bet by hedging it. You know what I mean? Hedge, hedge, hedge.
Yeah. And I would say the exact same thing with defensive ends. This team, they really like building on the defensive line. Bose is going to get paid and he's going to be making like 30, $35 million a year. It would make a lot of sense to get 2 or 3 defensive ends on cost controlled 4-year rookie contracts that you can use in a rotation, because again,
Yes,
we're
because
rolling 8 or 10 deep at D line.
and we always get our D tackles free agents off the market, which I like,
Yep.
because to me, when you draft a defensive tackle, I was talking of earlier, it takes 2 years for them to get their NFL body. I was
Definitely
telling
seems
Joe,
like it.
yeah, and you're talking about on the defensive line or offensive line, like you need to get that body really quick. I was telling Joe, I said, Jalen Carter, hey, he might show out year one, but there's more of a chance that he doesn't because he doesn't have the NFL body. He's been kicking people's butts in college. Those aren't the same guys. Those aren't the same guys. The guys he's going to go up against right now are already stronger than he is. And
Yeah.
I'm sure right now he doesn't have better talent than the offensive lineman he's going to go up against. So he's going to have either a harsh, fast learning curve, because maybe he was able to, the cream rises to the top, right? So maybe he was able to, figure it out early enough. And since he wasn't strong enough, maybe he was able to let more technique go through. But that's probably not the case. He's probably going to show up year 2 or maybe even, year 3.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, he's not going to be playing, 19-year-olds on the offensive line. He's going up against 28-year-old grown men who have been in the NFL and honed their offensive line craft for the last 4, 5, 6 years. And offensive linemen play for a long time compared to other positions, like they kind of age well where it's like, hey, the best offensive linemen, a lot of the times they're like 28, 29, 30 because they built that strength and they've got that technique down. So I agree.
So that's why I kind of like the way we do it. I'd rather draft the defensive ends and get the the free agents that didn't kind of work out anywhere. They're trying to revamp their career. They're trying to get their groove back. Shout out to Stella, her trip to Jamaica. Yeah, I don't know if you know that, but there's a movie called Stella, how Stella got her groove back. She went to Jamaica and slept with the Jamaican man, and that fixed her. So shout out to which I'm sure going to a beautiful island like Jamaica and having sex with one of the beautiful locals wouldn't get you out of whatever kind of funk you were in. I'm just saying
that might help.
you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think it's better that we get the guys who already have that NFL body and just haven't been in the right scheme, don't have the right place to kind of hone their technique. And those are the guys we pick at tackle, and then we get them young bucks. And the defensive ends, that since defensive ends aren't normally like touched as much as what I would say. When you're in the interior, you've got people to the right and left of you, across from you, and to your side.
Getting beat up on everywhere.
Exactly. And anytime somebody touches you, it slows you down. So you got these young guys out on the edge where only one person essentially can touch them, and that's their job to figure out how that person can't touch them. It puts them in a better situation. You know what I mean? So I think the way we go about it, if we're just, consistently trying to draft a D end every year, I would rather draft a D end every year with our first/second pick, like either as a first rounder or a second rounder. I'd rather do that every year than draft a running back consistently in the third or so, or fourth or fifth, because I see that there's
running back in like the 5th or 6th round is when I want running backs, because if they're a scheme fit, they can be productive. But I agree. I want those other positions higher up, like first, second rounders. That's where you get like impact edge rushers, impact receivers, impact corners, offensive linemen. I got a couple late round edges if you want. I got 3 that I can bring up.
Sure.
Maybe available in the 5th. First one, you have to go watch this guy. He's so fun. Lonnie Phelps Jr. out of Kansas. Are you familiar?
No.
He's a little undersized. He's like 6'2", 245, but he is an explosive, just high energy guy off the edge. Just like firing off the edge, full speed, really, really fast hands, and just like nonstop motor. And it was so fun watching him because he would just be like lined up in like a 2-point or a 4-point stance. As soon as the ball goes, like he is firing 100 miles an hour into the backfield. He's got crazy fast hands. and he's just whipping the offensive lineman in like a half a second, and then he's like chasing the quarterback down at 100 miles an hour. I think he's only going to be a pass rusher, at least to begin with, because I don't think he has a lot of power or like anchor to like set the edge. But if you just want like a third down pass rusher guy to like set up in the wide 9 and say, hey, go get the quarterback, so fun. Plus he's got like sick dreads and stuff, so he's really fun to watch. But I would definitely recommend going and watching a Lonnie Phelps highlight video. Just super fun. He was one of my favorites.
Gotcha.
Get a lot of
just saying hi
comments
to each
here.
other.
Popular.
Oh yeah, we got a chat going on right here. We got 13
Nice.
people watching right now, so we're doing pretty good.
Nice. But yeah, love Lonnie Phelps. He's just crazy fast, high motor, speedy edge with really fast hands. Just don't ask him to like hold up an edge. Don't ask him to like be an anchor.
Gotcha.
Yeah. There was another guy who came out of nowhere, out of Rice, Ikena Enachukwu. John Chapman had like brought him up, and I watched like a little bit of John Chapman's film, and then I watched a couple of games, and I really like this guy. He's a little bit more of the size of defensive end that we like. He's like 6'4", 265. But I really liked him. He had a pretty good get off and a good anger, but just like heavy, violent hands. You know, when you watch a defensive lineman and just every time he hits the offensive lineman, you just see them like get hit around. Oh, you're freezing there. I hope we didn't lose the stream.
Oh no, we're good.
Okay, cool. But yeah, what I was saying is this guy is just power rusher off the edge and just like really heavy hands. And it's always good when you see whenever you see a defensive lineman like hit an offensive lineman and the O lineman just like, you know what I mean? Like that, it matters when you're seeing that kind of impact just with how heavy a guy's hands are. But just disruptive and like another high motor guy. You know, we want guys that are just nonstop, like, hey, when the ball gets hiked, go kill the quarterback and just don't stop until the whistle blows. So he was awesome. And then the third guy that I mentioned is Thomas Incoom out of Central Michigan, 6'2", 260. And what I liked about him was he was pretty good athletically, but I felt like he was his hands were always active with the hand fighting, but because he's on the shorter side at 6'2", he had natural leverage, you know, being able to like get under the offensive tackles. He also had the bend to like turn a corner. So he was low enough that he could win with leverage. He could get under guys, get around the corner, and he was hand fighting the entire time. But yeah, and he was one of those guys where he was really productive. I think he had 11 sacks last year. He also tested well physically and like all the physical traits that he looked for. So those are probably three guys that might be available in the 5th round. And I really like all three of them for kind of different reasons, but there's 3 defensive ends for you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I go off on tangents sometimes.
No, you're good. Well, I haven't heard of any of these people, so it's kind of hard for me to, to really add anything to that. I really appreciate you for coming on and sharing this knowledge. I'm sure all the people in the chat are trying to scribble down names left and right. I'm going to try and go back in and put some timestamps in here. So
Okay.
Maybe if you guys come back, you'll be able to. But what I would actually suggest is get in touch with Brian and get his whole report, because all this is written down. Like you could go this and that, and you can read what he says, and then go look at the tape from there. So I would suggest reaching out to him. Like I said,
and if you
links are in the
disagree,
description.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah. No, just as long as you, I hate people that just go, you're wrong. Okay, well, why? Why?
Yeah.
Give me something. You know what I mean? Like, if you come out and you have a good point, I'll respect you. Whether I believe it or not, I'll respect it if you put time or thought into it. If it's based in reality and were something I could see, if there wasn't for something else that I feel that it makes it negate that, you know what I mean? Then yeah, I'm giving you credit, full on credit. But that's what I don't like. Like, either have a solution or don't bring it up.
Yep.
Like, shut up. You're not doing anything. Either add something to the conversation or stay in the hole that you found yourself.
Yeah, 100%. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything.
Well, I have lots of things not nice to say, and I say it.
Fair enough. Do you have any like draft crush or anyone that you're like, I would love it if the Niners added this guy or anything in this draft?
Me personally, no. I How to put this? I don't get in depth into the draft because it usually bears no fruit for me. You know, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like,
100%. Like I'm getting hyped about all these guys, and I
yeah,
know that majority of them are
yeah.
not gonna end up, living to what I see as their potential. So you get
I
hyped
know
and then they let you down.
some people really get the bug, and I'm totally cool with that. I'm totally cool with that. I don't get the bug, so I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna get into it. I'm not gonna because it might taint me from doing other stuff. So you know what I'm saying? So I just you know what I mean? What if I get sick and tired of doing, drafting and scouting draft players and this and that, and then all of a sudden I just like, why even go live next week? That's not what I'm trying
Yeah.
to do. You know what I mean? I just go, we'll talk about Trey Lance. We'll do this and that. There's people I look at. I was trying to do a draft and scout on my show where where I was doing a mock draft, and then I would go through and look at the players on the board and see their highlight reels, and I would make decisions there. And I was fine with that. I was liking that. That was great until I found out my connection was choppy and everybody was having a blast watching figures do this on the screen and they couldn't see. And I'm like, oh yeah, look at him right there. He's doing this and this and that. Oh, look at that. That's great. That's great. This and that. And all they're seeing is so I ended that, and that was as far as I went. So, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
if
fair enough.
if I can turn it into content live, I would do it. I would do mocks, scout and mocks all day long during this and that. But I got all these shows I got to be on, all this type of stuff. I'm making other videos. It's like I will I will let all you guys handle this out, be the geniuses that you are,
I'm
and then
not a
I'll
genius.
go in. No, but you know what I'm talking about is like, you know, finding all these players. You know what I'm saying? Essentially you're like Pokemon, you're trying to find the best ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why I kind of say, you're curating your batch. You know what I mean? That's you're the genius of your batch. You know what I mean? So that's that's what I kind of related to. And then I'll just go in after the players have been picked, and I'll go, okay, this is what they're going because I just it seems to me unless I was just trying to be a draft person, like no specific team. If I was just trying to, focus on draft and slash, players, that would probably be my Super Bowl, but it's not. So
Yeah, that makes sense. And honestly, I like what you said there, where it's like, hey, if this isn't your thing, like, don't do it. Don't talk
don't
about it. Don't kill your fandom off of something that you're not interested in.
you
Like,
might ruin it for
there's
somebody else too.
yeah, and there's different types of content for like everybody. Like me, I get really excited about the draft, and I can't stand like other types of commentary that goes on. And so I'm like, cool, I'm not gonna absorb that kind of stuff because that's not my stuff, and I don't want to get sick and tired of it. But I really like this over here. So for me, I'm gonna spend time doing this because I think it's fun. I don't
You
I don't think that you should absorb or focus on content that makes you less happy in your fandom, if that makes
Yeah,
sense. Like this is sports. It should be fun, damn it.
yeah.
You know? So like have
I
fun with it. If you're not having fun, then do something else related to it.
I watch Grant Cohn, and I know lots of people who say they can't watch Grant Cohn. They say they felt better after they stopped watching him.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what I
me.
mean?
I'll be
Eh,
honest.
Hey, that's perfectly fine. It's because you know what you need out of what you're looking to get out of it, right? You first thing, I know that you aren't like jaded by any of the John Lynch generic comments. You know what I mean? You're not going, "Oh, I'm going to take John Lynch on face value here. Oh, that sounds great. He's so happy." You know what I mean?
He talks like a politician. Like
Right.
he
But
always
there's a lot of
says something vague and then lets other people misinterpret it if they want.
Grant is important because the people who can't see through that, he's there to tell them that they need to. But other people who can, see through the fog essentially, do they need a person like Grant around? No, but yes, kind of. You need somebody like Grant reporting on the team in the locker room, in the press room. You need always with any team, you need somebody like Grant who is not going to just uh, bow down to the establishment and give them softball questions.
And here's what I will say is that I actually really appreciate Grant Cohn, the reporter who is in there as a press person
Yes,
talking with players. What I don't like is Grant Cohn, the
the
YouTube
content
slash
creator.
Twitter personality, because I
Gotcha.
do really like that he will ask more difficult questions and press people for answers. I just
And
know that
and if he
I
gets
just
a
know that I don't
BS,
like the way that he markets it on his
yeah,
like YouTube and like Twitter kind of personality that he has there. But
yeah,
I still appreciate what he does from like the reporting side because he does ask questions that other people won't.
you know that that Kyle and John have to go out there knowing that he's going to ask a hard question, and they have to be ready to give him just enough information that he will be happy enough and not go any further, but yet not enough to give away the bag. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they know
Yeah.
they have to prepare for him. John Lynch said hi and said every reporter's name in that uh in that presser except for Grant's.
Yeah. No, they don't really like him.
Because he holds them accountable for their actions,
Yeah. No, it's
which he should be. That's
I
what
go
all
back and
reporters
forth
should
on
be
this.
doing.
Yeah. I
You know
go
what I
back
mean?
and forth on this because I I think that reporters and media people have a duty to do the best possible reporting um and getting all the answers that the people want. On the other side, I don't like it when those same people who have like personality or journalism, whatever, try and create drama around things when trying to figure out the right way to put this. People
Where
who
they
say
create
that like
where they
people
create a
who say
story
that
out of middle of
Kyle
nowhere.
and Shanahan, people who say that like Kyle and Lynch should be fired are dumb because this is a top 4 team in the NFL where we're a regular Super Bowl contender. Like every year for like the last 5 years, we've been a contender. Have they made mistakes? Yes. But we went to an NFC championship, and a Super Bowl within the last 4 years. We're a top 5 team in the NFL. That being said, they're not above criticism. But there's a difference between saying, hey, you've had a lot of success, but why have you not dealt with A, B, and C versus saying, this is stupid. Why haven't you been fired yet? Does that kind of make sense? That's where I come at it from.
Oh, bro. I was on the Niners and Friends show earlier. Shout out to Mariah for 49er Faithfully podcast and Beto from Niners Sickness. But Beto asked me that question. He's like, in 5 years, 3 to 5 years, if they haven't won a Super Bowl, do you get rid of them? And I'm like, well, wait, are we going to the NFC Championship like every other year? Because
Yeah.
context matters. How do you move off of a coach like that? Who do you move off of them for? Who's got that same track record right now in the league who might be looking for a job in 2 years or 3 years when you'd be wanting to fire Kyle?
Yeah.
Who's next on the come up? Who's next on the come up who's going to be as successful as Kyle within the next 5 to 6 years, that who's, not a coach yet? We don't know who that is. It's a complete crapshoot. It's
Yeah.
better to go with a guy who keeps getting close to touching the sun. You know what I mean? Like you got more shots. We went from
Yeah.
mediocrity, like low-end mediocrity, to being contenders every single year, to the point where the people on Bussin' with the Boys are looking at our players going, holy shit, how have you not won at least 2 of them by now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
Right?
no, 100%.
Like,
That's
100%.
yeah, like how do you win a Super Bowl? Well, you got to get there. Well, how do you get to the Super Bowl? Well, you got to win an NFC championship game. Okay, well, how do you get there? Or how do you win one? You get there. Well, we've been there and we've been there and then we've been there. And it's like we're so
These
close.
guys know how to get there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's exciting and it is frustrating because when you get so close and you get let down, like it really hurts. But that doesn't mean that you throw away something that's really good. You know, like Shanahan's a top
Yeah.
5 coach in the NFL. If he wasn't, then we wouldn't be in the Final Four every year.
Yes. And like consistently, that's the thing. You see a lot of these teams, like look at who was it? The Giants. The Giants had one of their best years ever in the last 20 years. Well, not really. They got a Super Bowl on us, but in the last
they won a couple Super Bowls a while back.
Yeah.
But
So in the last 8 years, this is like the best team they've had. They might not even get back to the same place next year.
I can't believe they gave Daniel Jones $40 million
Oh
a
my
year.
God. Oh my God. And then
Could
the
you imagine
Baltimore
if
Ravens,
we were in that position?
and then the Baltimore Ravens don't want to give Lamar Jackson money. You're talking about the Giants over there, like, yeah, here you go, Daniel. There's 41 million. Here you go, bud. And the Ravens are like, I don't know. Seems a little too much. I'd be like, oh God, like the whole Lamar thing. This is, I think, without opening a whole can of worms, I think rookies should have rookie contracts until they are a continual starter. You know what I mean? Like if you consistently start, or or are a good portion of your team's success, however you want to graph that out, I think they should start having to pay you real money in a certain sense. So like running backs, look at running backs. You get running back on a cheap deal. You don't have to pay them for anything. By the time they're up for their bag, they're worn out. Right.
Yeah.
So
Look at
the
what
way
happened to Zeke.
that's what
Zeke
I'm saying.
was like really good for like
it's
3
not
or 4
good
years.
for
They paid him and then he fell off a cliff.
It's not good for anybody. You should just pay people when they're good. So like you got to run it back. He's taking all your carries. Okay, so the cap hit is of his rookie contract. Okay, no one could see that he would this and that. You're not going to have to screw up your whole team because this guy did good. But it doesn't hit the cap. You're going to pay him. You're going to pay him a good, decent amount of money. You know what I mean? Like because he's a workhorse. He's going to get money now. You can move on for him in 3 years when his rookie contract is done, but he's going to get you for a good, 40, 50 mil. You know what I mean? Because you used him.
I know what you mean. I know they have like performance bonuses for like players who like outperform their contracts, but that's not the kind of money you're talking.
It's not the kind of money I'm talking about where it'd be good on both ends. So like, imagine the Baltimore Ravens had to pay Lamar Jackson what he was worth these last couple of years.
Well, that's typically what you do when you get your first like real, when you get your second contract, like not your rookie contract, but the one after that.
But
usually that contract, you're getting paid for what you've already done.
That is not the case in every specific thing. Why?
A lot of the times, though. The Lamar thing is just weird.
Why should it be geared that way? Why should it be geared that way? you're not helping anybody by paying for success that somebody's already had and hampering yourself when they might not be as successful by taking up that much salary cap to essentially make up for what they did beforehand. Just
Yeah.
pay them when they're good. Pay them when they're good. When they're not good, don't re-sign them. You know what I mean? Don't extend them. Don't give them another contract. Let them move on.
So
Let
you
them
just
go
saying like
somewhere
year to
else.
year contracts for everyone?
Uh, no. So like if you hit a certain, per position, if you hit a certain snaps or yards or something, you know what I mean, that hit you to the point, I think you will now be paid a certain amount, depending, I guess, on your use, maybe, or whatever, or how much you actually do. Because
Okay.
like if
So
you're
kind of like
if you're
a
the
performance bonus that's like by
like a
position for like certain criteria.
prorated, yeah, prorated
Okay.
type of thing. Once you hit that, boom, you're slotted in for the next year to play that at that rate.
Yeah.
Obviously, it doesn't count against the cap, but your paycheck is this and that. Your cap hit is still as if you were a rookie going through the rookie deal. You just get paid that performance. Let's call it performance bonus. You get the performance bonus on top. Now, if something happens, if you fall off that year and your performance bonuses, like you're not used the same way. Maybe you got, somebody better came in. You don't get paid that the next year because they didn't use you. Now, if 3 games, 4 games into the season, all of a sudden you eclipse that mark again to get you back in there, boom, you get paid like that again. You know what I mean? Like once you show that you're doing something, you should be able to get paid for it. Once you've shown that you can't do that anymore, you should go back to what your original, you know what I mean? To just make it so you get paid for doing the good work that you did. You're not having to sit here and do 4 years of good work and then hope somebody will agree to giving you the money you've been worth the whole fucking time.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. I don't really know how you would go about
I
doing that.
I
That's
I don't either. It would be a whole
the
clusterfuck, but
whole
it would be a
'cause
whole
it's like you got the
clusterfuck.
cap, you got contracts, you got agents, and then you have like the
But I think
whole
it would be fair. I think
what
it
do you
would be
call that
fair.
thing? The collective bargaining agreement that they
Mhm.
agree to every like 10 years or so. So I don't know. It'd be a little too complicated for me. That's beyond my level of understanding.
Yeah.
Kyle for life. I don't know about for life, but for as long as he's really good, I want Kyle Shanahan around.
Oh, I'm pretty sure he'll be around for a very long time. Um,
Yeah.
let's hit on some people later in the draft, and then we'll get this thing wrapped up and get you on your way.
Yeah, what kind of position do you want? Again, I pretty much looked at every position, but not until the 3rd round. So if you want some late round guys, like name a
Yeah,
position, let me
we're
know what you're looking for,
s-
and I'll try and point out a guy or two.
we're looking for some gems in some 6th and 7th round. Position, I don't know. Give me one from the position groups we kind of need, the well, we're gonna need a linebacker. I think we might
Okay.
go later for linebacker. So let's pick us up a linebacker. Tell me a guy you want for linebacker in the 6th round.
Linebackers are
Or
fun. Let me see here. Who's a
that's
linebacker that I
that's
like
probably the
around
one position. That and cornerback and safety are probably the one position it's hard for me to really. Oh, quarterback too. Being a
QB?
being a lineman, it's hard to kind of understand anything other than lineman. You know what I mean? Offense, defense. I'm
Yeah.
running backs. I've got a good eye for running backs
Yeah.
for the most part. I
So
always used to run the ball in Madden.
for linebackers, I have 2 late round guys in my notes here that I have as like my guy. I put like my guy next to my favorite guys. But Cam Jones out of Indiana, no idea where he's going to go. I've heard some people say 3rd, 4th round. Other people have said 6th, 7th. But Cam Jones out of Indiana was really fun. Just heavy hitter. Like he was like hitting people as hard as possible. He was knocking offensive linemen backwards when he was blitzing. When there were guys like guards and tackles trying to get to the 2nd level, like he was running full force into them. When there was a running back or a tight end or a receiver like in his vicinity, he was just laying the wood and just like hitting them.
What is his
Um,
coverage? Did you watch much in coverage? I know that's probably
a
the
little bit.
toughest thing to really gauge in college
Yeah, I
and
mean, a
stuff.
little bit. He looked fine in coverage. He wasn't my favorite coverage linebacker, but just in terms of like a fun, just guy with big hitter and just like a quick trigger, like see something, go kill it.
He's gonna
He
need the
blitzed
special
really
helmet.
well, and he was good at like just he moved pretty well in space, but he also did well like sifting through like traffic. You know what I mean? So like when there's all the stuff going on, and you've got like linemen pulling here and other linemen here and this guy here, that guy there, he was really good at, hey, there's the ball carrier, weave through these guys and just smash him. So that's what I liked about him, was just like seek and pursuit heavy hitter. And then Michael Jones, Mikel Jones out of Syracuse, just really fun to watch and just flies around. I don't have a whole lot of notes here, but he was fun to watch. He flies around on the field. And I put down that I like his feet. Usually, to me, what that means is that their feet are just really crisp. It's not, like some people, they just look like they have awkward feet and they don't move as well. This guy had really crisp footwork, which means you're really good at navigating through traffic and you're fast and stuff. So, those are probably two guys that I would really like as like a 6th-round linebacker.
I don't think people understand how important feet and hips are.
Dude, I watched so
Are
much feet. I would literally like half of the game, every guy, I was watching feet and hips, just like what it's where
like
everything starts. Like you
like
stand on your feet. How you move is your feet.
like we were talking about length of arms earlier and going around over that. Like
Feet
the
matter more.
the feet. Oh, totally. Because that's how you're getting yourself in position to spring those moves on them. Getting
Yeah.
when I was in wrestling, if I wanted to shoot on your left knee, I would push you back and then I would pull you forward on my right side, but pull your left side forward. And that would just move it to where your leg was in front of me. So making my moves to this and that, now that also sets me up to be in right position where my driving leg is also closer to the leg that I'm trying to attack at that point. So it's
Yeah.
like, though it's chess. It's chess with feet first, and that's how you get into the position. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if you look at Nick Bosa, his side scissor his side scissor move doesn't work if he isn't snapping his hip and's got his feet in line at the same time. If he's not doing it right, it's failed.
Did you see Brett Coleman's video breaking down Nick Bosa's pass rushing?
No,
It
I'll
was
have to go
really
take a look at it.
good. It was really good. It came out a couple months ago, but he was basically showing how Nick Bosa is so good because of how good his feet are, and literally like the width of his feet determines which pass rush move he's going to use based off of literally like fractions of an inch, because Nick Bosa has honed his pass rushing so well. And it was like based off of like the offensive tackle's foot position, he would set up his feet and that would set up the proper move or counter move. But it was awesome. It was a couple months ago, and I'm 99% sure it was Brett Coleman. Coleman, Kollman. Good YouTube video guy. Just great film breakdowns, but it was really cool seeing just like the minute technical details that he got into breaking down like Nick Bosa's pass rushing.
I bet you Nick Bosa could probably write a doctorate on just the size scissors, which
Dude,
is
he's
which is
so good.
crazy because there's like it's a move, right? It's just
Yeah.
a move. But
Yeah.
I'm sure there's so much he knows about it from doing it over and over and over and over and over and over. And what, like, you see him on the sidelines. What is he doing? He's doing his side scissor. You know what I'm saying? He's doing the side scissor. He's doing the side. That's all he's doing is the side scissor. He's doing the side scissor. That's all he's doing is the side scissor. And why is that? Like, so when I wrestled, when I was warming up, I would do this. I got my
Yep.
arms ready, but then I would like pretend like I'm doing my throws. You know what I mean? That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Like when I was a left tackle, you got people coming, around the edge on you. And wrestling, I was never taught these things. It's just like what I just learned from wrestling and playing football. When somebody come around the edge, their back shoulder would kind of move back a little bit like this when they're trying to go around you. And I just hit that shoulder because they move back like this. Their shoulder is now above and behind their hips, their center of gravity.
Yeah.
So the moment they do that, it's a nice tab to stop all their momentum, all their energy, maybe even push them over backwards
Yep.
because they can't continue with you putting any sort of pressure for any second of time on them.
Yeah.
Nobody told me, oh, hey, do that. It was just like, he looks like he's off balance right there. You know what I'm saying? Hit him when he's off balance. There's a split second where they're off balance. And if you can wait for that and hit them in the shoulder, they look at you too like, oh, you fucked up my move. Yeah, I did. You shouldn't do that move.
Yeah, I remember that was one thing that was really oh, thank you. That was one thing that was really kind of tricky to watch was watching pass rushers, specifically like defensive ends and offensive tackles. And it was really interesting trying to see which pass rushers could actually like maintain balance while turning the corner through contact. And there was a
Yes.
lot of guys that just couldn't. And to me, like those were the guys where it's like, oh, okay, this guy's legit. Because not only does he have hands, not only does he have speed off the edge, not only does he have bend, not only can he turn the corner, but he can do all that and stay on balance with an offensive lineman pushing against him.
You
And
remember
like
what
seeing those things on film is like that was the things where I was like, I see that in this guy.
you remember what Deion Sanders said was the toughest thing about Jerry Rice?
No.
He never got tired. He never slowed down. He was the same guy. He was the same guy from start to finish. And that was because when you're a wide receiver, you got someone dragging on you, it's going to slow you down throughout the game. It never did him. That's why, like, on the line, you get touched, you're getting slowed down. The fastest guys barely get touched because any
Yeah.
sort of touch slows you down, moves you a little bit, it throws you off your game. So the best people use their feet to get them in a good position to not get touched. You know what I'm saying? Like they use their feet and their hands to get in a great position to where they can't get touched. And those are the
Yep.
guys that equate to things. And that's why, like, oh, man, the more you don't get touched, the better it is. Look at Raheem Mostert. He ran for how many yards without getting touched?
Yeah.
It's just better. It's better when you don't. Tom Brady, how long has he got to play? He didn't get touched. You know what I'm saying? I'm just throwing things out there, but yeah,
No, I hear you.
it's so much easier when nobody is touching you in any sort of a way. That's why, hey, shout out to Darwin here. I'm sure he knows. He said he started wrestling in high school or in middle school. And his coaches said he needed more competition. He was a little younger than most people. That's fine.
That's good.
It taught me so much about myself. Like, pain is your friend because the more pain you can withstand, the longer you won't get pinned. You know what I'm saying? That's how you coax people into getting pinned. Normally, it's either you've got a whole bunch of talent and you got them in a great move, or you just manhandled them or hurt them enough to where they decided to quit. So if you can hold on to more pain,
Yeah.
you're good.
No, I agree. My one regret growing up was not playing more sports. Barely played any just non-sport, non-football household. So it's kind of my one regret. I kind of got into it, like I said, in 2011. Jim Harbaugh gets hired. I moved to Northern California. 21 years old. I go to the bar after work. The Niners are on. Harbaugh's a psycho. Patrick Willis is killing people. I love this. Why did I never watch this growing up? So
Oh wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
it
Oh
was a good
my
year to start watching.
I grew up in a single mother household, and I think it was 8 or 9. I think it was probably 8 years old. Maybe it might have been 7. So it might have been 1989. She sat me down in front of the television. Well, first we went to the store first. I was like, "What do we got to get snacks, honey. Why we got to get snacks? Oh, we're going to watch something." Okay. What snacks are we getting? We're getting all my favorites. Cheddar and sour cream, Ruffles, French
Ooh.
onion dip, the real red vines, not no Twizzlers, and then root beer. Okay, so that's Ryan sitting down. Turns out it was a Super Bowl with the Bills. And I sat there watching these guys go at it for 2.5 hours. And I had never really, watched football up until then. But after that, I was like, this shit's fun. You know what I'm saying? You got people flying around trying to take each other's heads
Yeah,
off. Oh man. I
yeah.
my
No,
grandpa, my
football's
grand
awesome.
my grandpa was on Iwo Jima. So growing up, I knew my grandpa was what people would consider like a war hero. You know what I mean? Not that he was like, he saved all these people, this and that, but anybody who survived the Battle of Iwo Jima is pretty much a war hero. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I survived, and like, so this football stuff, this was that macho man stuff that grandpa, had the stuff that grandpas watch. You know what I'm saying? My grandpa's a macho man grandpa, he's got a, and this is the type. Yeah. He's also from upstate New York. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Shout out to Frank. Oh, we got Mariah in the house. Mariah, 49er Faithful Lee. What up, Mariah? Did a show with her earlier tonight. Make sure you go and check her out.
I love
Um,
the little like emoji logo picture thing. That's sweet.
oh, she's a
I gotta
boss.
get one of those. Like the little like cartoon myself.
Hey, yeah. I I am not as fluid with those yet. It's something
I don't
I'm
know how to
going to
do it.
get into. Yeah, I will be doing them at
Mm.
some point, but I do lots of other stuff, as you can tell with the thumbnails and the backdrops. Um, yeah. With that, is there anything else you'd like to talk about? Anybody you think we might have left off? You think the 49ers might get? Anything like that?
I don't know. I mean, so John Lynch said that this is like a really deep draft class, and I definitely think like that. Definitely think it's that way at some positions. Like defensive end, there's a lot of defensive ends that I like. I listed quite a few of them here that are like, fourth, fifth, sixth rounders. Tight end, there's a lot of really good tight ends in this class. Um, I think there's like 5 or 6 of them that I would love to get on day 3. Um, so like being that those are positions that I think are, kind of needs for the team, we don't really have any tight end depth behind Kittle because like Dwelly and Warner, they're on 1-year contracts. So we don't really have any depth beyond next year. And they're kind of replacement level guys. So like tight ends a need, you need tight ends. Defensive end is a need, you need defensive ends. There's a lot of those guys. Um, I feel like there's not a whole lot of corners that I like. I was trying to find like corners that I like deep in the draft class, and there's really not. Like the best corners I feel like are going to be gone by like the 4th round. After that,
Definitely.
there's
Uh,
like there's a
is
couple that I think are pretty good in the 4th round, like
isn't that
Riley
par for the
Moss,
course
Corey
every year?
Bennett.
Isn't that kind of par for the course every year?
Yeah, but for me, it's like at least I'm able to find guys that I like for one reason or another. Like
Okay.
there's a lot of guys that I really like at defensive end, at tight end, at safety that are gonna be there like 5th, 6th round. Like I
You're
really
saying
like those guys.
the drop off is so big this year, but after that it's
Yeah. It's like
okay.
I barely found anybody after like the 4th round, like corner wise that I could get excited about. Like there was a few guys that I really like in like the 3rd, 4th round. After that, there wasn't really anybody I was excited about. Same thing with like guards. I don't know if you think guard is a need or not, but
Not at
like
all.
I felt like every single guard I watched, I was like, yeah, he's a fifth, sixth round guard, whatever,
Stupid
fifth, sixth
fucking
round
Mel
guard.
Kiper. Mel Kiper thinks we're picking a fucking guard. Like,
Which guard?
well, like
I'm kidding.
oh my god, I was just reading his thing. It's like, oh, the Niners, I think with either pick 99 or pick 101, he had us picking a guard, and I was like, this guy is a fucking idiot. If he
It
hasn't
always
noticed,
amazes me how
oh my
little they know about the team.
oh, we've taken fucking 20 guards in the last 3 years. If we don't have a guard who can back up another guard right now, we should probably just quit. Okay? You know what I'm
I
saying?
feel
Like,
like I feel like they always draft a tackle and then move him to guard.
that's what I'm saying. If they draft a tackle, they move him to guard. If they draft a center, they just use him as a guard. It's just like I would have rather seen, I don't know. I like Poe at center. I don't see Poe playing guard.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
So
really curious to see what's going to happen at right tackle and right guard because
I think
we
I
added
think
who's that guy? John Feliciano. I think
well,
he's going to compete with Burford for right guard, which means that if he wins that, does that mean that Burford and McKivitz could potentially compete at right tackle? Because right tackle is like the biggest question mark. And
don't
they
forget
keep
about
saying we
Pryor.
like Colton McKivitz.
We also signed Pryor, the right tackle or the swing tackle. So
That's
you've
true. I
got
keep forgetting about him.
you can have a three-way between Burford, McKivitz, and Pryor,
See,
which
I like that way more than saying we
well,
need a guard.
uh, so we also got Nick Shakelj and Jason Poe on the
Yeah.
team who can fill in for that spot, which um, John Lynch said that Zakel had a really good offseason workout. Like the weight room guy is really ecstatic about that.
Yeah. Stock
I
rising.
yeah, I just when it comes to tackle, I I've heard reports that they haven't asked Burford to move to right tackle yet. So I would think that well, that was as of a couple weeks ago. So I don't know any new news if there was anything said at what do you call it? Not training camp, but phase 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if anything was changed there, but that could be the thing. Also, you got to look at how the offensive scheme might be changing. We might be running a lot more power versus
Mhm.
outside zone. So if that's the case, I see them going to somebody like Pryor because McKivitz essentially in a power run scheme goes to guard overnight.
Yeah.
Like he's not a power run scheme tackle. He's more of an outside zone scheme tackle / guard. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like he's like a tweener guard tackle. That's
Yeah.
kind of how I see him as like a tweener. He's not
Yeah.
really
Well, like we were saying, they like getting these kind of undersized athletic college tackles and moving them to guard because they want to have that like speed on the inside for the
well,
wide zone.
that's on the
Whereas
right
typically
side.
a lot of the guys are
That's on the
a
right
lot of
side.
college guards just kind of like
They like heftier guys on the left side.
yeah.
So the way I put it is Kyle, the right side is the hammer and the left side is the anvil. And you know what I'm saying?
Okay. I like that.
That's the
I like that.
philosophy for me is it's the hammer and the anvil.
I feel like we'll have a much better idea about how the offensive line is going to shape up at rookie mini camp or whatever in May, because that's when they'll actually get all those guys out there and they'll have, their 10 or 15 offensive linemen or however many, and they'll be putting them in at different positions.
Yes.
And we'll actually get like snap counts for reps. Like, hey, Poe took 8 reps at center, 2 at left guard. It looks like they like him at center. Hey, they took Burford. They gave Burford 8 reps at right tackle, and then they gave the other guy that you mentioned.
See, that
left
doesn't even necessarily mean anything. Because yes,
But
yes,
it
it
gives
could
us
be.
an idea about what they're thinking and what they want to try.
Yeah, but like, look, let's say they put him in for eight reps at one and then 2 at the other. Maybe the 8 reps at the one was because he wasn't doing well, and they're trying to see if they should even continue running him anymore at the situation. The
That's
other 2
true.
might have been just send him back to his old thing and let him, oh, he did great there. Okay, we got no more to see there. We know he can work at that position. Let's figure out these other guys right now.
That's
So
true. Or they want to
it,
try someone else at a position. So they're
yep.
like, hey, we want to try him here. So you go do that for a few reps.
And also, if you remember correctly, everybody had like snap counts last year. So
Yeah.
there might be a thing where one day somebody can't go. So now you have to play out of position just because somebody snap counts. You know what I'm saying? Somebody hit their snap counts or somebody's injured. You know what I mean? So you got to fill in for them. And that's not the position, this and that, but you got to be a body. You know what I mean? You might as well learn where you're at. Yeah. So
Yep.
that's it is a good idea. Like if you consistently see day after day them putting Burford at right tackle, then
Yeah.
you know they're really trying to get a good look. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They got him half and half, and they're trying to figure out where he might be more effective. And the answer might be with somebody else's tape. See if somebody else doesn't have a better outcome at the tackle position than Burford, or vice versa with guard.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and I do really like what you said there about like consistency. Like again, like Grant Cohn, I don't really like the YouTube or the Twitter, but I do like the reporting that he does. I really like how in training camp he'll come out and say, "Hey, this player did this many times." And I typically won't pay attention to like one day's reporting, but when you see trends happening and things consistently happening, that's when you really start paying attention to like training camp reports, because anybody can have a good day in training camp, but typically you see the people when it's like, hey, this guy's like kicking butt every single day. That's when you really start paying attention, is when you consistently start seeing good or bad. If you never hear about a guy, it's probably not good. If you're always hearing good stuff about him, if they're up and down, then it's just kind of a wash. But that's again like one of those things where you got to watch for the consistency in the reporting. What's this guy said? One more time, depth. 2 quarterbacks.
I did not understand this. And he's speaking to you anyway, so.
Well, I think what he's saying is like how many people that we keep on the roster at each position versus previously.
Oh.
So like instead of having like 5 running backs, like -1, so maybe we'll only have 4 running backs, or instead of like
Well, what's this half a
1
tackle
quarterback,
then?
we have 2.
We got 0.5 a
Um,
tackle. Oh, we got
I don't know. I mean,
0.5
you
as
gotta
safety over here too. Okay, that makes sense. So together we got a safety tackle, a stackle. We got a stackle.
yeah. Or we also got plus 0.5 DL and minus 0.5 something. But yeah, no, I think it's a margin comparing the depth of the class. So a class is considered
Oh,
QB class. Oh, okay.
the margins on the positions of how they differed. That makes more sense.
Okay.
Thank you, Levi.
Okay. That makes a little more sense.
I
Yeah.
know,
No, I
Joe.
think that
He
makes sense.
told us. He told us, Joe. I was giving Joe some crap.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited about the draft. There's also like, I know it's always kind of silly to get excited about undrafted guys, but the undrafted guys matter too. Every year we have 1 or 2 undrafted guys that kind of comes out of nowhere. This last year it was Jordan Mason. So, we're going to draft. We might trade up. Yeah, super deep at edge. I agree. There's a lot of guys. But, we got to get to 90. I think we've got like 60 something players right now. We have 11 draft picks. We need 90 players. So somehow we're going to draft some guys. We're going to undraft, get some guys. We're going to sign some more, vet minimum guys off the streets in the next month or two. We got to get to 90, and then we got to figure out who the best 53 are. So right now we're here. We got to go like that. And then we got to go back down to that. And it's a fun process.
Supposedly our 49ers have a few guys who have only visited the 49ers. that is kind of par for the course for the 49ers. We find these guys that nobody else gives a shit about, and then for some reason they're the ones everybody should have drafted. Nobody knew to look at them, and I don't
Yeah.
know what it is. Like, I don't
Oh,
even
dude, I
think they
love
do.
Davis Allen out of Clemson.
I don't think they do top 30s with running backs really, and I think the reason is
They
because they
did.
just
They did a couple of them.
well they don't how to put it. It's like they do their due diligence, but they don't look at any guys that they're ever really trying to bring in, I think, for the most part. Because it
Did
seems like
you?
everybody is always going after their running backs.
Yeah. Did you see Steph Sanchez's like Twitter thread today where she was talking about top 30 visits in the Kyle Shanahan era?
No.
So it's pretty cool. I retweeted it, but
Shout
basically what
out
it
to Steph though.
was, huh?
Shout out to Steph though. Everybody go and
Dude,
check
she's
her out.
awesome.
Yes, she
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Steph Sanchez is awesome. But she had a thread that she made, and it was basically every year since Shanahan and Lynch took over, how many of their top 30 visits they actually drafted or brought onto the team. And every year since they've started, of the top 30 visits, it was like they drafted 2 or 3 of the top 30 visits. And then they also typically added 1 or 2 of those guys from that top 30 visits later on. So
Yeah.
like they may not have got them as like in their rookie contracts, but then they brought them in like after 2 years or something, or after they were undrafted, they brought them in. So
Well, I
the
think
top 30
that
visits aren't everything, but it was like 3 to 5 every year of the top 30 ended up on the team.
they also use the combine to really get in touch with some of these players where like I tell people a lot because it explains what the 49ers are looking to do, especially when it comes to defensive linemen. When they're talking to those defensive linemen, even though they don't draft them, what they're looking for is they're looking to do a trade for those guys in 2 to 3 years for nothing, for like a 7th round pick or a 6th round pick, a nothing for them because they've already done, they're trying to figure out somebody's personality. They're
Arden
really
Key,
trying to figure out right. They're trying to
they had
figure
a
out
top 30
somebody's
with him.
personality to see if they will mesh. They're already figuring out all the stuff in the room with as far as the tape goes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They know we might not be in position. Look at Colin Farrell. I don't know if they interviewed with him. Yeah. I said the moment he came on this tape, I'm going to call him Colin. It's just going to end up happening. Yeah, I can remember Cleveland is if I think of Cleveland from the Cleveland show or from Family Guy. But yeah, so Colin Farrell came in and I was just like, this is one of those guys, that goes high. They do like an interview with, they know they're not going to get him. But what they do is they do their due diligence to figure out what that is a person. And when they don't work out later on for another team, like Javon Kinlaw, if he doesn't work out, we can trade him with another team with another defensive lineman that didn't work out. It'd be like, hey, we'll trade you our problem for your problem. We'll see if we both can't have a better result. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's what we do. And normally, Niners are like, yeah, we'll take a 7th for that guy. And it's like, it works because they knew they had all the tangibles. They knew that in our system, they would shine.
Yeah.
But all they're really doing in those interviews to me is figuring out what does the person have between the ears and in the chest.
Yeah.
How much heart do they have and how much, what can they take care of between their ears?
Yeah. No, I agree. It's again, like that's one reason why I really like the I wish I had wine or whiskey. Oh, talking about my purple face crying. Yeah. No, that's one thing that I love about like Shanahan and Lynch is they're really good at this. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Ben Sims, they met with him. I kind of liked him. I think he needs to develop a little bit more strength, but he looked like a pretty good athlete and receiver at tight end. the tight end Baylor. I think I had like a 6th or 7th round grade on Ben Sims. So again, like undrafted guy, 7th rounder, you want a tight end. I'm down with it. Dante Stills was fun. Foskey is probably going to be gone way before us. He's a beast. Dude, if Isaiah Foskey fell to us, I would probably pee my pants in excitement. He's probably
Do
going
you know
in
who
the
John V is?
early second round. Who?
John B. John B is the
Not
host of the
offhand.
Locker Room Rant. Oh,
Okay.
well, you're missing out because John B is a very smart gentleman. But he's a big Ohio State fan. Zach Harrison. He's been pounding the pavement for Zach Harrison left and right. Zach Harrison, Zach
I
Harrison,
really
Zach,
like him.
Zach Harrison. Yeah, I've seen some tape and he wasn't lying. It's just I don't see us going up that far to get him. And I don't see there's any way of him falling that
I
far
think
to us. He would what?
he might fall. There was two issues that I had with him, but I'm okay with both of the issues.
What are his
So
issues?
so he doesn't have very much bend. I very rarely saw him be able to like bend around an offensive tackle. So I have a little bit of concerns about that, but you don't have to have bend to be a productive defensive end. The second thing was that his pass rushing technique wasn't all that great, but I don't really care because he's 21 years old and he's got a crazy like physical tools to work with. I love Zach
He
Harrison
looks
because
kind of slow.
he's
He
6'5",
looked kind of slow to me.
270 with like 36 long inch arms. He can take up a lot of space with big strides. He's powerful. Like he is like a moldable ball of clay. And I think that year 3, year 4, Zach Harrison is going to be like a menace. I don't know how good he's going to be year 1, but just like he's 21 and he has all the physical tools. You just coach him up. I would love to pick him in like the 3rd, 4th round where we're picking. He's a guy I would be happy to add.
Yeah, no, his tape looked good. It just he seems slower to me. And my thought is essentially it's the hammer and the anvil. You know, I want a speed guy as the hammer, and I want the
Yep.
strong guy as the anvil. So the hammer is constantly pushing whatever into the anvil. And I think
He'd be the anvil.
Bosa's our anvil. To me, Bosa is our
Yeah.
anvil. He's extremely strong. It's not that he could bull rush you. Don't get me wrong, but that's not how he's trying to do it every round, every rep. But he's the strength there. He's not necessarily fast, but he's got a motor on him and he never stops. So to
Bosa's
me,
not fast, but he's quick. Like when he wins, he can win real quick, and
yes,
he might not be the fastest guy chasing you, but he can beat that offensive lineman in a split second with just his cross chop
he
thing.
can get up to full speed in probably about 1.5 steps.
Oh yeah.
Maybe 2. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
when
It's
I
like his
played,
his
I
top
know
speed might only be 40 miles an hour, but it's like 0 to 40 in 2 seconds.
right. Like when I played, I knew by my 3rd step I was almost up to full sprint. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't totally there, but I know I could be in 3 steps. I could be moving pretty fast, and that's a lot of momentum if you get your weight up going enough. You know, so yeah,
Yeah.
it's yeah. But hey,
No, Zach Harrison is an interesting prospect. He's not perfect, but he's one of those guys that's probably going to drop into the 3rd or 4th round. And one thing again, I really like just the fact that he's so young. This draft class is weird because of COVID. All the college players or whatever got like an extra year or 2 of like eligibility. There's a ton of guys that are coming out that are like 24, 25 years old. And like I think a lot of the reason a lot of the guys who are expected to go higher than the draft is just because they're young. So like what would you rather have? A 25-year-old college pass rusher or a 21-year-old, 22-year-old pass rusher rookie? Like, do you want a guy who is 25, 26 as a rookie, or like 22? Because you can get both in
It
this draft.
it would depend. I would think
Yeah.
I would spend my draft capital, my good draft capital on a young guy, and I would use my later draft capital on an older guy
Okay, why? Why would you do it that way?
because I think you get the same effect out of it. So everybody's going to want the younger guy. So he's going to be more sought after. So it's going
Yep.
to, or you would think. So I'd rather go up and get a better talent that's younger and then wait for an older talent with a cheaper pick because people are going to look at the age. Oh, we're going to have him. We'll be able to renew his contract when he's 28, 29. You know what I mean? People are like, oh, that man, not when you look at it that way. You know what I mean? So I would rather
Yeah.
pay for the younger guy and, let's say, a second and a fifth. We probably get the same player out of them in 2 years. They'd probably be the same player, if not the older one, I think would be the better player sooner. But I could think you could get the same play out of them, within a couple years.
Kind of
And
like
one of
high
them's going to be going
floor
out of the
versus
league.
high ceiling.
Yeah.
Because you're
Yeah.
like, you're betting on development with the younger guy, whereas the older guy, you're like, hey, he should be
Plug
plug
and
and
play.
play, kind of.
Yep. And if you get your young guy, if you scout him well enough, he should be able to take over for your plug and play guy and be better. You know what I mean? If you do it right, if you sit him, train
Yeah.
him up, hit the weight room right, he should be able to be better. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. It's
with that,
so many
I think
questions and so many possibilities.
most definitely. And we're hitting the 2-hour mark now, so I think we
I
should probably
saw
wrap
that.
it up here. Go ahead again and let people know where they can find you and what all things like how they should hit you up if they want your 85-page draft review.
Yeah. So the podcast, again, just Brian Carter 99, all one word, no spaces or anything. Just go to Apple Podcast or Spotify. I'm on both of those. Just hit the subscribe button. I'm probably going to be doing one or two this week. I'll probably do a couple post draft, just talking about the guys we got. And then I'll probably won't have a whole lot to post because there's not really a whole lot that happens, until mid-May. And then, so I probably won't do a lot over the summer. Twitter, I'm on all the time. Brian PNW99. Just follow me, at me, DM me if you want a copy. Just literally just DM me on Twitter what your email address is, and I'll just email you the PDF. It's just 85 pages of notes, just PDF file. That's pretty
Thank you,
much
Mariah. She says, great show, fellas. Want to thank her for
Thank
tuning
you.
in. I want to thank everybody else for tuning in. We had a fire chat tonight. Really appreciate everybody for showing up. And with that, I want to let you know we've got a draft show going Thursday,
Ooh,
Friday, and Saturday.
You doing day
I invited
3?
Brian on. He might be there. Yeah. We'll give you
I think I'll
I'll send you the link.
definitely.
Yeah, I'll send you the link. So it'll be in
Cool.
your
Yeah,
DM waiting for you, and we'll bring you on in whenever you want.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna hop on with John Chapman on Friday night. I work a day job, so I won't be able to hop on anything until like 6 or 7 o'clock on Friday. They'll probably be finishing by then. But like Saturday I'm free, and that's gonna be like all the guys that I wrote up about. So I don't have any plans. I'd be happy
Yep.
to jump on for a little bit.
Most definitely. I'll drop you the link. And with that,
Sweet.
I want to say good evening and have yourselves a blast. Go 49ers, and can't wait for this draft to get here.
Hell yeah.